of the wrathful deities appears. Up to now there have been 7 stages in the dangerous pathway of the Bardo of the peaceful deities, and by being shown at each of the stages, even if he has not recognized at one, he will have at another, and boundless attainments of liberation occur. But although many are liberated like this, sentient beings are great in number. Bad karma is very strong. The veils of error are heavy and thick. The unconscious tendencies last for a long time, and this cycle of confusion and ignorance neither wears out nor increases. So there are many who are not liberated, but wander downwards, although they have been shown accurately in this way. So then, after the meeting by the peaceful deities and the Vidyadharas and Dakinis is over, the 58 blazing, blood-drinking, wrathful deities will appear, transformed from the previous peaceful deities. But now they are not like they were before. This is the Bardo of the wrathful deities, so one is overpowered by intense fear, and it becomes more difficult to recognize. The mind has no self-control and feels faint and dizzy, but if there is a little recognition, liberation is easy, because with the arising of overwhelming fear, the mind has no time to be distracted, and so it concentrates one-pointedly. If one does not meet with this kind of teaching now, even an ocean of learning will be of no use. At this point, even teachers who observe the monastic rule and great philosophers are confused and do not recognize, so they go on wandering in samsara. It is even more so for ordinary people. Escaping from the intense fear, they fall into the lower realms and suffer misery. But a tantric yogin, even if he is the lowest of the low, will recognize the blood-drinking deities as yidams as soon as he sees them, like meeting old friends, so he will trust them, and merging inseparably with them become a Buddha. The secret is that in the human world he visualized the forms of these blood-drinking deities and worshipped them, and even if he only looked at their images drawn in pictures or 3-dimensional figures, and so on, he will recognize the forms appearing here and attain liberation. But however much effort the philosophers and teachers who observed the rule made in religious practice, and however clever they were at preaching the scriptures in the human world, when they die there will not be any signs such as jewel-like relics, rainbows, and so on. While they were alive, they cast abuse at the tantras and could not accommodate them in their minds. They did not know the tantric deities, therefore they cannot recognize them when they appear in the bardo either. Suddenly seeing something they have never seen before, they think of it as an enemy and feel aggression towards it, and as a result they go to the lower realms. That is the reason why, however good those philosophers and observers of the rule were, since they did not practice the tantras, signs such as various kinds of jewel-like relics and rainbows do not occur among them. A follower of Tantra, even if he is the lowest of the low, however coarsely he behaved in this world and however uncultured and unrefined he was, even if he was unable to practice the Tantric teachings, just because he had faith in the Tantras and did not have any doubt or disbelief, will attain liberation at this point. So although his behavior was unconventional in the human world, when he dies, at least one sign, such as jewel-like relics or rainbows, will appear. This is because this tantric teaching has very great power. Tantric yogins who are above average, who have meditated on the visualization and complete practices, and practiced recitation of heart mantras and so on, need not wander so far down in the Bardo of Dharmata. But as soon as they stop breathing, the Vidyadharas, warriors, and Dakinis will invite them to the pure realm of space. As a sign of this, the sky clears and they dissolve into rainbow light, and rain of flowers, fragrance of incense, sounds of musical instruments in the air, light rays, jewel-like relics, and so on appear. These are the signs. Therefore, those philosophers and observers of the rule, followers of Tantra who have let their Samaya practice degenerate, and all ordinary people, have no means except this great liberation through hearing. Meditators who have practiced the great symbol and great completion meditations and so on will recognize the luminosity in the bardo of the moment before death and reach the Dharmakaya, so it is absolutely unnecessary to read this great liberation through hearing. If they recognize the luminosity during the bardo of the moment before death, they will reach the Dharmakaya. If they recognize during the Bardo of Dharmata, when the peaceful and wrathful deities appear, they will reach the Sambhogakaya. If they recognize during the Bardo of Becoming, they will reach the Nirmanakaya and be born in a better situation, where they will meet with this teaching, and since the results of actions continue into the next life, that is why this great liberation through hearing is a teaching which enlightens without meditation, a teaching which liberates just by being heard, a teaching which leads great sinners on the secret path, a teaching which severs ignorance in one moment, a profound teaching which gives perfect instantaneous enlightenment, so that sentient beings whom it has reached cannot possibly go to lower existences. Both it and the liberation through wearing should be read aloud, for the two combined are like a golden mandala inlaid with turquoise. Now that the great necessity of the liberation through hearing has been taught in this way, it will be shown how the bardo of the wrathful deities appears. Calling the dead person 3 times by name, one should say these words: O child of noble family, listen without distraction. Although the bardo of the peaceful deities has already appeared, you did not recognize, so you have wandered further on to hear. Now on the 8th day, the blood-drinking, wrathful deities will appear. Recognize them without being distracted. O child of noble family, he who is called glorious great Buddha Heruka will emerge from within your own brain and appear before you actually and clearly. His body is wine-colored, with 3 heads, 6 arms, and 4 legs spread wide apart. The right face is white, the left one red, and the center one wine-colored. His body blazes like a mass of light. His 9 eyes gaze into yours with a wrathful expression. His eyebrows are like flashes of lightning. His teeth gleam like copper. He laughs aloud with shouts of ah la la and ha ha, and sends out loud whistling noises of shoo. His red gold hair flies upwards blazing. His heads are crowned with dried skulls and the sun and moon. His body is garlanded with black serpents and fresh skulls. His 6 hands hold a wheel in the first hand on the right, an axe in the middle, and a sword in the last, a bell in the first on the left, a plowshare in the middle, and a skull cap in the last. His consort Buddha, Krodishvari, embraces his body, with her right hand clasped around his neck and her left hand holding a skull full of blood to his mouth. He sends out loud palatal sounds and roaring sounds of thunder. Flames of wisdom shoot out from between the blazing vajra hairs of his body. He stands on a throne supported by Garudas, with 1 pair of legs bent and the other stretched out. Do not be afraid of him. Do not be terrified. Do not be bewildered. Recognize him as the form of your own mind. He is your yidam, so do not be afraid. He is really blessed Vairochana with his consort, so do not fear. Recognition and liberation are simultaneous. When this is said, he will recognize the yidam, and merging inseparably with it, become a Buddha in the Sambhogakaya. But if he is afraid of it and escapes, and so does not recognize, then on the 9th day the blood-drinking manifestation of the Vajra family will come to invite him. So to show him again, one should call the dead person by name and say these words: O child of noble family, listen without distraction. On the 9th day, the blood-drinking manifestation of the Vajra family, called Blessed Vajra Heruka, will emerge from the eastern quarter of your brain and appear before you. His body is dark blue in color, with 3 heads, 6 arms, and 4 legs spread wide apart. The right face is white, the left one red, and the center one blue. His 6 hands hold a vajra in the first on the right, a skull cap in the middle, and an axe in the last, a bell in the first on the left, a skull cup in the middle, and a plowshare in the last. His consort Vajra Krodishvari embraces his body, with her right hand clasped around his neck and her left hand holding a skull full of blood to his mouth. Do not be afraid of him. Do not be terrified. Do not be bewildered. Recognize him as the form of your own mind. He is your Yidam, so do not be afraid. He is really blessed Vajrasattva with his consort, so have devotion. Recognition and liberation are simultaneous. When this is said, he will recognize the Yidam, and merging inseparably with it, become a Buddha in the Sambhogakaya. But if those whose karmic darkness is great are afraid of it and escape, and so do not recognize, then on the 10th day the blood-drinking manifestation of the Ratna family will come to invite them. So to show him again, one should call the dead person by name and say these words: O child of noble family, listen without distraction. On the 10th day the blood-drinking manifestation of the Ratna family, called Blessed Ratna Haruka, will appear before you from the southern quarter of your brain. His body is dark yellow in color, with 3 heads, 6 arms, and 4 legs spread wide apart. The right face is white, the left one red, and the center one blazing dark yellow. His 6 hands hold a jewel in the first on the right, a trident bearing 3 human heads in the middle, and a club in the last, a bell in the first on the left, a skull cup in the middle, and a trident in the last. His consort, Ratna Krodishvari, embraces his body, with her right hand clasped around his neck and her left hand holding a skull full of blood to his mouth. Do not be afraid of him. Do not be terrified. Do not be bewildered. Recognize him as the form of your own mind. He is your Yidam, so do not be afraid. He is really blessed Padmasambhava with his consort, so feel longing. Recognition and liberation are simultaneous. When this is said, he will recognize the Yidam, and merging inseparably with it, become a Buddha. But if, even after being shown like this, he is pulled back by evil unconscious tendencies and is afraid and escapes, and so does not recognize the Yidam, if even when he sees Yamantaka he does not recognize him, then on the 11th day the blood-drinking manifestation of the Padma family will come to invite him. So, to show him again, one should call the dead person by name and say these words: O child of noble family, listen without distraction. On the 11th day, the blood-drinking manifestation of the Padma family, called Blessed Padma Haruka, will emerge from the western quarter of your brain and appear before you clearly in union with his consort. His body is dark red in color, with 3 heads, 6 arms, and 4 legs spread wide apart. The right face is white, the left one blue, and the center one dark red. His 6 hands hold a lotus in the first on the right, a trident bearing 3 human heads in the middle, and a rod in the last, a bell in the first on the left, a skull cup filled with blood in the middle, and a small drum in the last. His consort, Padma Krodishvari, embraces his body, with her right hand clasped around his neck and her left hand holding a skull full of blood to his mouth. Do not be afraid of him. Do not be terrified. Do not be bewildered. Be joyful and recognize him as the form of your own mind.